Good morning, class. Today we're going to do an experiment on does an egg float? The objective of this science project will be to determine if an egg will float in regular water and then if it will float in salt water and why. The hypothesis of this experiment is to find out whether eggs do not float in water. We're going to take an egg and we're going to see that it does not float in regular water. And then we will add salt to the water. Salt water is denser, and the ordinary tap water, the density of the liquid is easier for the object to float in it. The material that we're using is 1 liter of water, half full with regular tap water. We're going to have a coin, we're going to have a cork, and we're going to have an egg, and then we're also going to have a spoon. The procedure for this experiment is we're going to use a spoon and lower the coin down into the water. Here we go. And it sinks right to the bottom. Now we're going to take a cork and we'll see what happens with that. We're going to set it in a jar and let it down. And look, it does float. Now we have an egg. We're going to put it on a spoon and we're going to lower it down into the water and see what happens. Look at that. It goes all the way down to the bottom of the jar. So this tells us that because of the density of the water, the only thing that's floating right now is the cork. So we're going to take these objects out of the bottle now, and we're going to fill up the jar with salt water, and then we'll try the experiment again. All right, class, this is now the 5th teaspoon of salt, now the 6th. And we're going to gently stir it, which will increase the density of the water. All right, now we're going to drop the penny in and see whether the penny will float. Nope, goes right back down to the bottom, class. All right, now let's try the cork. And the cork does float. Now we're going to try the egg. And remember the last time, the egg went all the way down to the bottom. Now we're going to gently set it in, and look at this. The egg is floating right on the top of the water. The conclusion is that eggs are denser than tap water. This means that an egg weighs more than the egg's size and the amount of tap water. In the same way, a nail is heavier than a wooden stick, and the same size because the steel is denser than the wood. In tap water, the egg sinks like the air-filled balloon, drops through the air. But salt water is denser than the egg. Here, the egg rises like a helium balloon in the heavy air around it. Of course, you can make water lighter enough to make the cork sink or dense enough to float a coin. Salt water is denser than ordinary tap water. The denser the liquid, the easier it is for objects to float. When you lower the egg into the liquid, it dropped through the normal tap water. When it reached the salt water, at the same point, the water is dense enough for the egg to float. If you were careful, you would add tap water to the salt water. Then you would have a mixture enabling the egg amazingly to float to the middle of the glass.